All right, joining us live for more on this from Caracas, Venezuela, we have with us journalist and political analyst Diego Sequeira. Thank you so much for joining us on World DNA.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so it's a pleasure to have you with us. I want to begin by asking you, one, what is the situation on ground right now? And I also wanted to understand that Maduro's camp has declared the ongoing violent protests as a coup in progress. Do you think the violent protests, the unrest could lead to any sort of a change in regime?
I hardly believe that's the case right now, at least at this point in time. There are many patterns that actually prove what the president is saying, especially the highly targeted attacks and also the focus on the protest, which describes something that it goes beyond the usual. Also because, for example, today is a day that we haven't had the same hype we had yesterday. So that also tells you some things. So in that sense, I feel it's really hard for it to happen at this point.
Mr. Sequeira, how important is a change of government in Venezuela for the US? And I'd just like you to weigh in on this, given that you are there in Caracas, you obviously understand this much better than any foreign report can inform the rest of the world. But given that a third of the population has already migrated from Venezuela in recent years, and that's again as per reports, how important is it for the US at this point?
Well, it's still very important. I mean, Venezuela is still an energy powerhouse that has been sanctioned and regime change attempted, sorry for the construction, for the last 10 years, 11 years, even if during the whole Maduro government, and we can go even further back. But so that describes the interest in that sense. Although in this case, for example, energy markets are where if you follow if you see reports, for example, from the Wall Street Journal, not a friend of Venezuela, talking about they rather prefer a government of Nicolas Maduro because of its stability. That's how complicated an outlier and radical could the opposite candidate be. So that also describes that perhaps not everyone sees the same thing from the U.S. at this point. We can see even more militant positions from, for example, congressmen and senators than from the language that the White House is using right now. But of course, it would mean a lot because it has been one of his main interests in a very long time. It would mean the realignment of an strategic access precisely to these resources, and also the center of their interest. And also you have the fact that you will also discipline a project that went against the current, against the hegemonic current in the region.
All right, so I also want to understand, of course, you've seen the international reactions that are pouring in. Venezuelan government said that it's withdrawing its diplomatic staff from 7 Latin American countries that questioned the election victory of Maduro. Can Maduro government afford to isolate itself on the global stage like this?
Well, it has been isolated before. I mean, it's not the first time we go through this, and precisely for many of those countries. Remember that back from 2017 until 2020, if I'm not, 2020, there was the Lima group that actually was composed by almost the same countries that are doing it right now. So this is not a first one for Venezuela either. And it still found a way to connect with other countries and trade in a very complicated context. Still, things have loosened up a bit, but this isolation not even didn't work for them. It didn't work for business at all. So this kind of put things into perspective. Who's actually isolating who currently? Things can go to normal quite easily once we are over this part of the situation. I'm pretty sure about that. But this wouldn't be the first time that we have that kind of foreign pressure.
Foreign pressure. It's interesting you mentioned that. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. That was Diego Sequeira joining us from Caracas. Pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.